Hey guys, how's it going? Professor Shuckle here, and today I'm back with our game for DPL Season 4 Finals. This is it. Tangyang has made it to the finals against all odds. A lot of people said we wouldn't even make playoffs, but here we are. And yeah, our opponents for the week are the Temporal Tower Titans, who beat Whiscash Gang in a tiebreak to make it to finals. Not gonna lie, we were pretty happy to see them in finals over the other team because our Sword and Shield draft smashed up better versus TTT. So we were pretty happy with that. Also, being the higher seed, we got to choose the extra format for the finals, allowing us to pick Sword and Shield as the extra tier, which was always nice. We did play them in the regular season. I believe we won 5-2, but obviously we cannot be overconfident and get complacent because this is finals after all. Nerves kick in. They're gonna sweat harder, prep harder. So definitely still had our work cut out to, win the whole thing. Yeah. Anyway, I was picked to play again, and I was given the Mega Diancie draft again. I believe I used this team the most on our team. Yeah, I believe this is the fourth time using this team. So I was definitely the one most experienced and most comfortable with it. So I was given this draft to use again. Which I was fine with. Mega Diancie is my favorite Pokemon to use in Draft League. So, yeah. And we did end up pulling the the draft we faced in Week 6. But the only difference being this time, it was not the semifinals case where we had the exact same matchup again and making it exponentially harder for me to come up with new sets to win the semifinals. In this case, I believe I'd used our Sword and Shield 4 draft when we faced TTT in the regular season. So this time it's a different draft, so I don't mind it as much. I was also playing Itia, was like the second or third pick on TTT, so probably the top 3 players. So yeah, should be a fun game. Definitely a daunting task, and the draft's pretty scary. So let's jump into the team builder. Into the matchup. So as I said, I pulled up with our Sword and Shield 2 draft, which consists of Mega Diancie, Victini, Hydreigon, Ferrothorn, Crobat, Araquanid, Paloswine, and Electrode. Our opponent has a roster of Urshifu Single Strike, Mega Garchomp, Tapu Koko, Slowbro, Moltres, Steelix, Mismagius, and Gloom. So unfortunately for this draft, we've pulled up another strong fighting type, which is really difficult for my team to deal with, especially if it has a second strong stab, which Urshifu does in Dark with Wicked Blow, just because a Fairy does not actually resist fighting. So that makes the fighting matchups pretty difficult. In this matchup, Urshifu has basically no switch-ins. Choice Band Close Combat kills Diancie, kills Hydreigon, kills Ferrothorn, kills Paloswine, kills Electrode, and then Wicked Blow kills the remaining mons. So if they get the right prediction, Urshifu just claims. But given the speed difference between the sides, with Diancie, Victini, Hydreigon, Crobat being faster than Urshifu, Scarf was probably more likely than Band, even though Band was still possible to bring just to break for Koko or Garchomp, for Koko to win. Because what Koko, whatever on my, Ferrothorn and Paloswine, the 2 monsters that resist Koko on my team, don't like switching into Urshifu. So, a U-turn from Koko on these 2 mons into Urshifu was pretty threatening for my team. So yeah, Urshifu was huge threat. I could also see a black classes set, so they could click Sucker Punch in case they didn't want to be locked in versus Victini. Because if they've scouted my replays, Victini is the mon that has put in the most work for me. So far in 3 games I've used, it's got 13 of the 18 kills possible. So yeah, definitely if they're worried about Victini, they might not run choiced. They may not want to be choiced, but Victini's matchup is pretty rough in this one because Slowbro and Moltres are pretty good pivots and are only 2-hit KO'd if I make the right prediction with the electric move. And then Mega Garchomp tanks Victini's stab pretty well. So that's also another huge issue, as well as Garchomp being faster on Mega than Victini. Speaking of, Mega Garchomp is also a huge threat here, with the ability to boost its speed now with Scale Shot. So Swords Dance, Gale Shard, Earthquake, and Stone Edge kind of run through my team. And the only way I can deal with it is to go into Plasmine and force it out with the threat of Ice Shard. So that can definitely be scary and can be a good late win con for them, especially if they decide to stay unmega during the whole game, allowing them to be faster than Scarf, Victini, and Hydreigon. So I could definitely see that. Urshifu and Garchomp also abuse Coco's and Moltres and Slowbro's pivoting potential on this team. So it can definitely be really scary to deal with the offensive pressure put in by Urshifu and Garchomp. Coco isn't as good here. Some kind of crazy setup Coco could still work in theory, but I think the most threatening Coco set here is U-turn and Roost and then 2 other attacks, but clicking U-turn every time, because on Ferrothorn and Paliswine, if you click U-turn and get in Urshifu, it's pretty much a kill for them. So that's the best way for them to use pilot that team, in my opinion. Slowbro is probably going to be the Diancie check, because Steelix is not a regular check. It's not a reliable check, because if I do predict Earth Power on the switch, and even if it's Shuka, it doesn't take like a Shuka Earth Power into regular Earth Power. So Slowbro with like max Pidef or some defense to like avoid the Twit Gale from Diamond Storm is probably the best bet at dealing with Diancie. It does get Iron Tail as well, which if hits will probably outcode Diancie. Moltres is fantastic this game. The only flying resist on my team is Electrode, which is a 1-point mon, and Mega Diancie. Diancie, of course, doesn't like taking in hits, especially once it's Mega, because its HP is low. So also, again, Moltres with U-turn can also put pressure on the team, as well as the Diancie switch in. So yeah, Moltres was a huge problem as well for the team, with Hurricane just freely spammable in this. Steelix I could see coming for Diancie with like Shuka and Spadef, but it's not a very reliable check, but it can definitely ease the burden on like Slowbro to check like Diancie. I also expect like Boots, Spadef, Slowbro with Teleport, Slack Off, Scald, and like Flamethrower, I guess, or Body Press maybe, something like that. Yeah, Miss Magus, I didn't think would come, but a lot of people brought in Mox, mostly for the speed, because it sits in nicely between the gap from Diancie to like Victini. So being faster than Victini and Hydreigon was really valuable, is what people told me. And they brought Miss Magius, and I also saw a couple of nasty plots Endure Salic, which kind of ended up sweeping my team because it would be faster than my potential Scarfers, especially if Passwind was dead with Ice Shard, because that's my only priority on the team. So yeah, Gloom didn't really seem like an awful matchup for it with Victini, Crobat, even Diancie. Like, yeah, didn't expect Gloom, expected the top 5, and then one of Steelix or Miss Magius, depending on how they wanted to play. If they wanted to be a little more balanced, Steelix was probably the bring, and if they wanted to be a little more offense-oriented, then Miss Magius was the bring. On our end, Diancie looks really, really good here, especially if it gets the defense boost from Diamond Storm, which it can click freely versus the Moltres. Moonblast hits pretty hard on the entire team, OHKOing the first 2 threats, doing a lot of damage to Coco. I believe it kills after rocks. Steelix not wanting to take an Earth Power, Miss Magius not really wanting to take the hits either. So Diancie's offensive matchup is pretty good, which is actually interesting because so far I've used Diancie. I haven't really had a good offensive matchup for Diancie. Like, I've faced 2 Corviknights, and the other time I faced like a Stila, Yuxi, and stuff, which prevented me from getting kills with Diancie. Victini's matchup, as I said, it's really tricky because I basically need to predict to get the like to hit KO things or get the right damage. Hydreigon, pretty good. Scarf Hydreigon is a pretty good win con here actually. Especially if the Coco goes down, I can fire out Dracos pretty freely versus the team. So yeah, Scarf Hydreigon is also faster than Urshifu, which is good to note, and does resist Wicked Blow. So if I can scout that it is choiced, Hydreigon does come in for free and you know, threaten his team and give me offensive momentum back. Ferrothorn, like, is pretty decent here. Has to come, in my opinion, just to like stop Coco and give me something else for Coco because I need Pulse Wind for the Garchomp. Spikes are okay, but I expect Boots Coco, Boots Slowbro, Boots Moltres, so, and then Miss Magius doesn't care about Spikes. And I don't think Urshifu and Garchomp really care about... Garchomp probably cares about HP, but Urshifu doesn't really care about HP in this game. So, and Pharaoh is a pretty good knocker here, though. If I can knock items off, Pharaoh can be like really helpful in that regard. It is my only knocker on the team, so knocking out Boots would be pretty, or the choice item on Urshifu would be pretty good for my team. Gyro does do pretty decent damage, and Leech is always good for recovery because I don't expect the Gloom to come, so Leech is pretty free. Crobat is probably doesn't have as good of a matchup. Garchomp does tank and will outspeed it after a scale shot. Coco, like if I don't run a poison move, Coco doesn't care about Crobat either. Steelix doesn't really care about Crobat. Slowbro and Moltres don't really care about Crobat either. Like, they do mind getting Super Fanged and then taunted, but other than that, they can actually, like, Crobat doesn't really switch in here, and other than providing a ground immunity, doesn't really offer much. Araquanid has a pretty good offensive matchup with its stab being unresisted on his team, and Sticky Web's actually being pretty good because if Moltres has to click Defog to get rid of webs, Diancie, it gives me a free Diancie pivot and I can start to apply some pressure that way. Webs are also good to make the Garchomp slower than Victini and Hydreigon, as well as Urshifu, like slowing down Scarf Urshifu. But yeah, Araquanid does put in a lot of pressure with its stab plus Sticky Web. Piloswine, again, another good check to Coco. Sets up rocks. Here, I think it's a better rocker than Ferrothorn, in my opinion, in this matchup. And then Ice Shard always, the threat of Ice Shard always keeps Garchomp in check, which is good. Electrode can definitely come. Like, it's a pretty bad matchup with two ground types and Foul Play not doing anything to these two. But it could definitely set screens for other members. But other than that, it doesn't really do much. I guess with Static, it could be a thing versus Urshifu, trying to paralyze it with Helmet and Static, or maybe even Aftermath to chip it down. But yeah, like as I said, tricky matchup, definitely in their favor because their offense is like I have less checks to their offense and they have more checks to mine, in my opinion. So yeah, but we did build a pretty fun team. So let's jump into our team. So starting off, we have Hydreigon with the Choice Scarf, which is a pretty good late win con, as I said. This is pretty standard set. We're max special attack timid, max speed. Speed is for Jolly or Shifu, which hits 322, and we're 323. Earth Power, which hits the Coco, 2-hit kills the Urshifu if it takes 2 rock switch in, I believe. Unless they run a bulky Scarf variant and just decide to outspeed Diancie. In which case, in which case I can actually figure out the speed because I have the Electrode pivot. Earth Power hits the Steelix, does okay to Slowbro. Draco Meteor is pretty free once Coco dies because Steelix is not a switch into that. And it hits everything else really hard. Dark Pulse is good for the Mismagius and Slowbro, as well as flinching because flinching is always a win con. And then U-turn just for momentum. Especially in case if their initial pivot is Coco, which is very likely, especially if it's Shuka. U-turn just gives me options, basically gives me free rocks guaranteed because I get to go into Piloswine. Or free knock if I decide to go into Ferrothorn. Next up we have Electrode with the Light Clay and Aftermath for chip damage on Urshifu. Enough speed for the Coco at 396. Basically max HP and the defense to live in Urshifu, Scarf Urshifu close combat, even if screens are not up. The main purpose of this is to set screens for our Diancie, which I'll get to in a minute. So Reflect, Light Screen, Toxic is just good for the Garchomp, is good for the Slowbro, good for the Moltres, good for the Coco. And then Volt Switch to get out of there, especially if the Coco tries to like stall our screens or whatever. And then Toxic's just always good on the Garchomp because it brings it quicker into Ice Shard range from Piloswine. But yeah, the main job is to set screens. If it can set screens 2 times, I probably win the game. But if it gets a 1 time, I just have to use screens really well. But it also gives me a good sack endgame. So yeah. But yeah, Electrode, I've used this team 4 times. Electrode is coming all 4 times. So, you know the real GOAT is Electrode. It's not the offensive threats, it's Electrode right here. Next up, we have Victini with Choice Scarf. And this is a bit of a suicide lead. So the speed is enough for Urshifu. So we're hitting 323. Enough HP, I believe at 395 HP, so that we take out max HP Slowbro. And the rest in attack, but it doesn't really matter. So we have Final Gambit, U-Turn, V-Create, Bolt Strike. We are not going to be clicking any of these 3 moves, most likely. What we're going to do is we're going to lead Victini, and we're going to click Final Gambit. Final Gambit, Oko's Urshifu, and Sucker Punch turn 1 would be a very interesting play, in my opinion, because obviously you can EV... Like, if they do lead Urshifu and they click Sucker Punch, it would be a very interesting play because you can definitely EV Victini to live like a Sucker Punch. Like, it could be Colbur, Dazzling Gleam, or Sash Gleam. So, trading Urshifu for Victini doesn't seem like... I would take that trade, obviously. As you can see, I am Final Gambit. So, yeah. Like, Final Gambit takes out Urshifu, takes out Garchomp, takes out Coco, brings Steelix down to 30. And I doubt it's going to be Papa to go back up to 34. Oko's Moltres, Oko's Slowbro. Obviously, Miss Magius would be immune, but I don't think Miss Magius is the Scout turn 1 because I could easily click Recreate or U-Turn and Miss Magius would be gone. It would give them a Garchomp setup, but I do have Piloswine, so it's not like the end of the world. Yeah, so basically, because of how hyper-offensive this team is, clicking Gambit instantly makes the game 5v5 and takes out a huge part of the team, in my opinion. So, like, if I get rid of Urshifu, that's a huge threat gone. Like, if I get rid of Urshifu or Garchomp, that's a huge threat gone, and I don't have to deal with it for the rest of the game. If they give me Slowbro or Moltres, I don't have to worry about Hurricane switch-ins because I don't have one for the entire game. If they give me Slowbro, Diancie just needs to click 1 Diamond Storm, get the boost, and it kind of wins, right? Because they don't have a resist. If they give me Steelix, their Diancie resist is weakened. And if they give me Coco, their best enabler is gone. Because the scariest thing for me in Mox was Coco clicking U-turn on Palo or Ferrothorn coming in and going into Urshifu. So getting rid of Coco also takes out their enabler, meaning they have to double or make double into Urshifu instead of getting the free pivot. So yeah, really like this Victini set. Shout outs to my boy Sky for this suggestion. I was initially focus sash 4 attacks Victini as a suicide elite, trying to scout for damage and sets. But in the end, we decided Scarf Gambit was just the best set, just to make it 5v5 instantly. Because what we're trying to do is reduce the number of sacks for them to Diancie. So, yeah. Next up, we have Ferrothorn with the Rocky Helmet. Very defensive, so we live a Scarf CC from Urshifu, even if it's adamant. And we are not to it cured by Scarf Wicked Blow. We're running Gyro, Knockoff, Lead Seed, Body Press. Gyro Ball hits the Garchomp and Coco pretty hard, as well as the Miss Magius. Also does decent damage to Urshifu. Knockoff is pretty good to get rid of Moltres' boots, as well as Slowbro's boots or Coco's boots, as well as the Scarf on Urshifu, because if you're at full health and they click CC, we can knock it off and get rid of its Scarf, which makes our lives a little easier. Lead Seed is just good for recovery, and it's a pretty safe move to click, just because they don't have a resist to it. And then Body Press I put just in case of some sub Urshifu, which could tank a Gyro Ball somehow. So I made it Body Press just so I could break this up. It also does decent damage to Steelix, and I didn't want to have nothing on my team for Steelix, as you will see. Yeah, its main job is just to, I do switch it in on Urshifu. If they have pads, like, we take pads because that means they're slower than Diancie, so I would get the kill. Basically anything not Choice Scarf is a little easier to deal with because Diancie would beat it. I guess Blunder Policy could be painful, but like, who preps for that, am I right? Yeah, so that's the set for Ferrothorn. Obviously with Barbs plus Rocky Helmet, Urshifu is going to take 28% every time it makes contact with us. Especially if they're not protective pads. The only way they don't take is if they're protective pads. So yeah, so because we're now one hit KO'd, they need 2 hits to kill us, which would put it down to 56% instantly. Sorry, to 44%, which is actually in Earth Power range. I guess I believe it's a roll on 44%, but if they take rocks and they're at 38, then it's in then like a guaranteed kill. So yeah, that's the main purpose of Ferrothorn. It is our dedicated switch into Urshifu. So as crazy as that might sound, if Urshifu kills us, that means it's banded, and if it doesn't, that means it's Choice Scarf, most likely. So that's how we're going to play it. Next up we have Mega Diancie, our Wincon. We are bulky, we're not max special attack, enough speed for the Mismagius. I didn't tell my team this, but I bumped up the speed on this last second because Mismagius was a threat. Initially I was just creeping the Garchomp in unmegaed form, but I made it faster than Mismagius last minute, so it was 341 speed. Just took out from special attack because I'm going to Calm Mind up anyway. The bulk lets me live an Iron Head in unmegaed form after rocks, as well as Iron Head if I mega but Reflect is up or have a defense boost, I believe. Something like that. Scarf Iron Head, I mean, from Urshifu. We have Draining Kiss in conjunction with Calm Mind, so we boost our defense and Spadef. We'll definitely be clicking Calm Mind in unmegaed form versus the Slowbro, which will probably be the initial switch in. And in like the sequences, we do have screens up with Electrode when we are attempting to Calm Mind. So we tank whatever the Slowbro has to take, do versus us. Calm Mind maybe once or twice depending on how to play it, and then start clicking Draining Kiss, which heals 75% of the damage you deal. So on Slowbro, because Diancie's HP is so low, it's base 50. It does about 40% to Slowbro, but it heals like 50% back. So basically I can keep bringing myself back to full with Draining Kiss. And 1v1 the Slowbro as long as it's not Calm Mind. Diamond Storm is there for the Moltres and to get us the defense boost. Because if we get the defense boost, then Urshifu does not kill us if Reflect is up, as well as the boost, as well as if we have the boost. And the only way Urshifu can beat us then is to either flinch or crit us through screens plus the boost. Like, it will do a lot of damage, but Draining Kiss would just heal us back to full and kill the Urshifu. And then Diancie wins because it's faster than everything except Coco, but Coco will not be able to kill us from full. And then Moonblast finally, it was initially Earth Power, but I decided in the end that, because a lot of people didn't bring Steelix and Mox, I thought in the end Moonblast was better, just because Draining Kiss was doing about 40-ish% to Slowbro, and then Moonblast just took it out, like at 60%, and which I thought was nicer because I just mega at that point and go for the kill, and then I can keep my HP pretty high, stop the burn chance or like the crit chance, and then especially if I have the defense boost, it made no sense to, be greedy and risk the crit or the burn. So especially if they were like Iron Tail or something, So yeah, I just put Moonblast. It was also a stronger hit versus Mismagius and Coco. Oh, the other reason was +1 Draining Kiss actually did not kill Mega Garchomp. So I put Moonblast just to kill the Mega Garchomp. It still does about like 30 or 40% to Steelix, so if we can chip that down, we can definitely beat it. Next up, we have Pileswine, which is our Garchomp check. We have max HP, max physical defense. We have Stealth Rock, Toxic, Earthquake, and Ice Shard. Rocks, because initially we could just click Rocks, because they're definitely switching. They don't really want to take an Ice Shard or an Icicle Spear. Toxic is nice for the Slowbro, especially if it's going to teleport or slack off. Pretty good for like the Moltres or Coco as well. Earthquake hits the Coco, hits the Steelix. It's just my best move in general. And Ice Shard is for the Garchomp, and it does about 70% to -1 Garchomp, which like after the defense drop from Scale Shot. So yeah, Pileswine is just our way of ensuring we do not lose to Mega Garchomp. So yeah, that's the team. As I said, the dedicated lead was going to be Victini, and we were going to click Gambit. If they go Mismagius, they go Mismagius, so be it. That's a good play by them. Nothing we can do. Yeah, so going in the match, I believe we were 3-0 up, and I was game 4, so my teammates played really well at this point to put us 3-0 up. I believe George played first, and he played really well versus a Rain team. Yeah, played beautifully to get the win. Blitz versus Pichu wasn't as clean. Pichu choked pretty bad, so we take those to go 2-0 up. Game 3 was Moxie versus Zern, and using our Sword and Shield 3 draft, which is probably a worse Sword and Shield draft, but Moxie was able to clutch up with the win to make it 3-0. And so now we were game 4, and we have the chance to ensure that this series is at least going to tiebreak, and relieve some of the pressure on people who had to play in the back. Because I believe like our Sun and Moon matchup and our Oras matchup in the back were pretty bad, although our Sword and Shield matchups were pretty good. But just to make the burden easier, a win here would be fantastic. I was pretty nervous, not gonna lie, just because the day before I had lost 3 mocks in a row. So, you know, the doubts start forming, because if you're losing mocks the day before, you know, maybe it says the team sides are not right or you're not playing that well. But yeah, anyway, it's your broad team of Urshifu, Tapu Koko, Garchomp, Slowbro, Moltres, Steelix. Pretty much what I expected, the top 5 plus 1 of Steelix or Mismagius. Steelix made me worry a lot because I don't have a lot for it on my team. Like my Diancie didn't touch it, my Electrode didn't touch it, my Ferrothorn's probably not gonna last, and like I didn't really take a body press on this team because, you know, my team was super weak to close combat. My only close combat resist on this team is Victini, so as you can see, that means I don't have a body press resist either. So yeah. Anyway, as I said, I was going to lead off Victini. This also meant that Final Gambit either gets me a kill or it brings Steelix down to sturdy. So I was like, okay, my play turn 1 at least was made by this. So I decided to lead off Victini. As they do lead Steelix, I do click Final Gambit. Like if they go for Rocks or Earthquake, so be it. They're reduced to their sturdy. So I click Gambit as they go Moltres, and that's it. We trade 1 for 1, which is beautiful. Moltres was a huge threat because as I don't switch into Hurricane on this team. Now, also Moltres being gone made my next play super easy. Because look at Ferrothorn and look at his team. I do want Ferrothorn in on Shifu. I don't mind that. If he clicks CC, if he's banded, I get to know that. If he's Scarf, he's gonna take Rocky Helmet plus Burbs, and I get to knock off its item. So I get to get rid of its Scarf. If they go Coco, same thing. I get to click Knock, or I get to click... I get to click Knock. If they go Garchomp, I get to click Gyro. If they go Steelix, I get to click Knock to maybe take out its Shuka or Lefties, or like the Berry, and then click Lead Seed after. So Moltres being gone was really good because that was the only thing that pressured Ferrothorn from, like, at least in my perspective. So I decided to go Ferrothorn here on the double down as they do go Steelix. I believe I click Knock as they do go for Body Press. I believe they did this thinking this might be Chople for the Urshifu, because like Chople Thunder Wave could be a thing or counter. So I believe they clicked Body Press to get rid of the Chople, but I was Helmet, so they do take a good amount of chip, and I'm able to knock off its leftovers. which is pretty good. They get up their rocks here as I just click Leech and heal back and weaken this even more. And this turn I click Knock again, thinking they might go Urshifu, believing that Ferrothorn cannot do anything, like I don't have Thunder Wave or Counter at this point. So I went for Knockoff as they make a good play and go into Garchomp. I go Piloswine here, expecting like Fire Blast because the way they went into it. But he actually clicks Draco and does a good amount of damage because we are actually Fizz Def, not Spit Def. So that was cool to know. But Draco kind of meant that this was probably not Scale Shot then, which is good to know. And they also instantly Mega'd, which is also something I would take because this means my Hydreigon is faster than Garchomp now, even if it's Scale Shots. So yeah, we definitely take those. Here, he doesn't kill me with the Earthquake. So I decided to just get up my rocks as he does go into Steelix. And this I thought was a pretty good opportunity to just click Earthquake, weaken this thing for Diancie endgame. So I decided to click Earthquake, but it turns out the Steelix was faster, which is really weird to me because Steelix is at 0 speed is base 96, and Piloswine at base with like 0 EVs is 136. So they needed to at least have 164 EVs, speed EVs to creep Piloswine, which means they either didn't have bulk or, you know, like this is a very interesting creep. But as you can see, Piloswine tanks this because we are Fizz Def, not Spit Def this week. And I'm able to click Earthquake and get a crit and kill the Steelix. Just because of the speed, I don't think the Earthquake crit mattered too much because from my calcs on like max HP or something, it did like 35 or something anyway. But given that they had a lot of speed, they're like not like max, so it probably did around 40 something anyway, and then Ice Shard probably picked it off. So I don't think it mattered too much. I guess if it mattered, maybe positioning, but as you can see, because I don't have removal, Piloswine's gonna die anyway to rocks. In comes Coco. I decided to just click Earthquake and not Shard for Chip because just in case this was some weird setup or sub or something. So I decided to just click Earthquake as they click Gleam and take me out, which is fine. I go back into Ferrothorn because there's no HP Fire this gen. And I believe I just clicked Gyro Ball. As they click Volt Switch and go into Garchomp, I click Gyro. Not enough for a 2-hit KO, but it was good chip. I stay in here because I don't really have a switch in. Hydra is my win con, Diancie is my win con, and I want to go into Electrode for screens, not for yeah, I don't want to sack this to an Earthquake. I thought he might click Earthquake. So I just stay in as he clicks Draco and overpredicts as I click Gyro and bring it down to where U-turn will kill. He clicks Earthquake to kill me, which is fine. Pharaoh's done his job. I still don't know what the Urshifu is, but it also hasn't sent it out at this point, so, you know. Here I can easily go Hydreigon. Since he is Mega'd, he cannot tell if I'm Scarf or not. I just U-turn and go into Electrode, which is perfect because if Urshifu is Bandit, I get up a Reflect, and if it's Scarf, it doesn't kill me, and I get up the Reflect anyway. So, yeah. He goes into Coco, which was a little weird. I thought this might be Calm Mind then. I wasn't sure, so I just clicked Screen first. In hindsight, I think my better play was to click Reflect first, because Coco was not the threat once it had shown Volt Switch. I guess Calm Mind could have been scary, but I did have Toxic. Urshifu was the biggest threat, so I definitely should have clicked Reflect, because if he clicked Volt Switch and went to Urshifu and he was Scarf, he probably would have taken me out after that Volt Switch damage. Actually, no, he definitely did. So, yeah, pretty big misplay from my end, but luckily it didn't matter because he clicked Gleam first. I guess that's the beauty of Electrode. People don't know what this thing does because it's a one-pointer, so they misplay around it. But yeah, definitely misplay from my end. I should have gone Reflect up first and then the Light Screen because Diancie did have Calm Mind to boost Spit Def anyway. So yeah, definitely a huge misplay from my end, but luckily it doesn't cost us because it's here click Gleam first. I said Reflect now as he clicks Roost. I'm probably trying to stall out turn, so I click Toxic, so he cannot stall out turn, so he clicks Gleam. This turn I click Volt Switch. and going to Diancie, as I have both screens up and Coco is not going to do anything to me. As he does click Roost, trying to stall out my turns. Here I click Calm Mind. He cannot really go into Urshifu there because I could have clicked Moonblast and Urshifu would be gone, and Coco is faster, so it would be a fast Volt Switch. So he goes Slowbro as I do Calm Mind. Because screens are up, I do Calm Mind again. Actually go back one turn. So like here I do Calm Mind because he's not going Urshifu there at any point. It comes Slowbro, I do Calm Mind. Here he could have definitely gotten into Urshifu on a teleport, but it wasn't Boot Slowbro, so in my mind I thought this might be AV, given how easily he gave me Steelix. So like he was like, since it's not Boots, Moonblast would have 2-hit KO'd this thing, right? So he wouldn't go into this unless he was sure it didn't get 2-hit KO'd by Diancie. Otherwise, I think he lost the game. So I click Calm Mind once more, just to see what the Slowbro wants to do to me, as he decides to click Iron Tail, and as you can see, it does 33%. This is a 4 times effective move on a 50 HP Mon, and it did 33%. So yeah, I decided to Mega Evolve this turn and click Draining Kiss, as it only does 32%, so telling me it is Assault Vest. But as you can see, we're able to heal up a lot. As he goes for Scald this time, which does nothing because we have +2 Spadaf plus the Light Screen. We do get burnt, which doesn't really matter, as we're able to Draining Kiss again and go back to a good amount of health. As he clicks Scald once again. And now we can Draining Kiss and kill this. Also, if they went Coco, like, we would have done a lot of damage to that, so they didn't really have a play, and Urshifu would die. So I click Draining Kiss, and I'm back to a good amount of health. But Reflect wears off, and in comes Urshifu. At this point, the only way I'll lose if this card for Urshifu. So, and CC, I believe, was a roll. But at this point, I thought my best play was just to go into Electrode, sack it if he's clicking CC. Or if he's clicking Iron Head, I'm able to live and set up screens once again. So just to scout what this thing wants to do, I switch out and go into Electrode. As Electrode is able to tank this easily as he does click Iron Head. And I'm able to set up Reflect. And then I'm able to click Light Screen. I was sacking Electrode. If he killed me, he took 25% Aftermath. And he would be locked into Iron Head. And I could go into Hydreigon and just click Earth Power. Basically. So, yeah, I clicked Light Screen here. In here, Coco is in. I thought he might want to roost and waste screens. So I decided to click Volt Switch here. And go into Diancie because I know this Coco cannot do any damage to me. As he makes a really good play and clicks U-turn and goes into Urshifu. Actually, not sure why he clicked U-turn. Volt Switch was literally better because like he gets the extra boost from terrain. Not sure why. Yeah, like I'm not sure on the set either. Like why is a Volt Switch U-turn? But anyway, he does make a good play and go U-turn straight back into Urshifu. I decide to sack Electrode at this point just to see what he wants to lock himself into. As he does click Iron Head. Oh, also, since Urshifu outsped Electrode, now I know it is curved. So as he locks into Iron Head, so I can go Hydreigon and click Earth Power here. Earth Power does kill the Tapu Koko if he switches in. And yeah, but he decides to stay in and click Iron Head, which means we win the game here because Earth Power kills this. And then Earth Power kills the Coco because we know that's not Scarf. And that will be GG. And we win 2-0. And Tangang is up 4-0 in finals. The only way we could have lost at this point was if he sacked Coco, goes back into Urshifu. And yeah, like here, after the Electrode sack, if he went Coco on the Hydreigon sack into so yeah, like Coco would die and he comes back out and clicks Close Combat because that's the only move we can lock into. I think because I would have to sack Diancie because Earth Power doesn't kill this from full, and Diancie drops even through Reflect. Actually, it doesn't drop through Reflect, so but he could obviously like crit. So yeah, like that would be his win con. I think. Like I think he choked by just staying in and clicking Iron Head, but like or not choke necessarily, but he didn't give himself a chance to try and win the game. Like I think by switching out and locking into CC, maybe he could force me to click Draco and like Draco miss whatever, or like a crit through screens on Diancie. So definitely he could have like tried to force me into an error, I think, by switching, but since he didn't, Earth's power just cleans up and we were able to win the game. I think we played that pretty well. Um, yeah, like I think I played the Diancie in the early game pretty well. Maybe I misplayed. I definitely misplayed with Electrode the first time. I should have screen reflected first, then light screen, and then wool switched. Uh, but it worked out because he didn't click wool switch with his Coco and stayed in on the Electrode. Um, and then after I think I made the right play with Electrode to get up screens again. So Electrode is the GOAT, setting up screens 2 times in this game. And as I said, if I set up screens twice, I think I'll win. So yeah, that put Tang Yang 4-0 up. L5 unfortunately lost his game to make it 4-1 and make it a little nervous because L5 was our best player. But then Sharky, King Sharky, playing in finals after like and pulling up with his first win to make Tang Yang win the finals. And yeah, Tang Yang are DPL champions against like all odds and what everyone said about Tang Yang being a bunch of mediocre players. But um, I guess that's what it is. Teamwork beats like just a bunch of highly skilled players who don't work together. So yeah, um, yeah, like I had a fun season. This was my first DPL season, as I said, first time I signed up, and winning the whole thing was really really good. Definitely enjoyed a lot. So yeah, huge shout outs to my captains for picking me, Veno and Max, and for giving me the chance to play on playing DPL and for maintaining like an amazing environment. Like Tangang server was really good. We had like no drama the entire season. Didn't really trash talk, I believe, in public too much. Like we just did our thing and everyone ignored us and it worked out great. Um, yeah, huge shout outs to King L5 as well. I learned a lot from him. Like he used to sit down and explain sequences to everyone, come up with heat sets a lot. Um, Also, like really good player, as you can see, he went 7-2. So yeah, huge shout outs to him. I definitely learned a lot, like the most I've ever learned from like a tournament. So yeah, huge shout outs to L5 as well, and to like all my teammates who mocked and helped, and for keeping the server environment like really good and the morale high. So yeah, huge shout outs to everyone. Pretty good season. As individually as well, we ended up 5-1 in our first season, which is pretty good, like 83% win rate. Um, we were able to make top 5 in Sword and Shield, and also got a couple of nominations for the end of season awards in best newcomer and because this was my first DPL season, and steal of the season because we only went I only went for 6K, and 5-1 was pretty good with 6K. So yeah, definitely enjoyed it. Also top 10 in like overall formats was pretty cool. Um, as for teams, um, this was the team I used the most. Um, on paper, it's not the best team, and obviously while using it, there was a lot of problems. I did struggle with Mega Gallade. We did put Mega Gallade 3 times with this team, or Shifu as well. When we didn't we had 2 Clefable, and I was the one who picked Urshifu. You don't know how mad I was that I was the one who picked Urshifu, but it worked out. Um, but and then having to bring Electrode to 4 out of 4 games is really crazy because Electrode is just a 1 point mon, which has no coverage because it lost Signal Beam and Hidden Power Ice and Fire. Like, Electrode's really bad, but it worked out. It came on the team. Yeah, I believe this draft actually never lost a game because I used it 4 times and I won every time I used this, and L5 used it twice. So yeah, Electrode's the goat. What else can I say? Like Electrode's the reason for Tang Yang's success. There, I said it. Anyway, yeah, that's all. This should be going up because as I'm recording, we are champions. So I will be uploading all the other DPL videos first. like in order of as I played them. So this will probably end up going like a couple of weeks after the finals have been played. But yeah, in the meanwhile, I don't have a lot to upload at the moment because I stopped doing leagues, and yeah, just waiting for Clash of Kings to start, which starts end of March, and that's probably the last team tour I will be playing in a while anyway. And then I'll upload that, and yeah, that'll be it from me. I'll see you guys. Have a good day, and bye.